Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here and it's time for my Friday reads. My Booktuber shout out this week is the lovely Caitlin from Zombie Eats Books. Caitlin's been a regular commenter on my videos for quite a while, and as per usual, for some reason I didn't realise she had her own channel. I was checking things out this week and I came across her channel and I love it. She reads a very close sort of range of books like me. She's very varied, which I really like, and she's definitely one of those booktubers that I'm going to be watching for recommendations and to hear what she thinks of books, because I think we have very similar taste. So if you like my videos, I think you'll probably like hers. Check out the links down below, check out her videos and subscribe if you like what you see. This week I had a bit of an up and a down week in my reading. I've become rather addicted to some Netflix series, and so I've been watching a bit more TV. Also, I've been really embracing my multiple book reading, so I've been reading 2 or 3 books at a time. I've also been a little bit inundated with my buddy reads. I hadn't planned it very well this month and I had quite a lot of big buddy reads happening at the same time, which was a little bit stressful. However, I did really enjoy the reading I did this week. The first book that I read, I haven't actually got a copy to show you, but it's called After the Crash by Michelle Boussey. This was given to me by my daughter's headmistress at her school, at her preschool, who watches my channel, I believe, and said that she thought I would enjoy it. So I picked it up and gave it a read. It's a really good, fast-paced, easy to read sort of mystery thriller. The basic idea in the book is that there's a plane crash and everyone in the crash dies apart from a baby that is found, and unfortunately, because the parents of the babies, there was 2 babies on the plane, the parents of those babies both died in the crash, and the grandparents have you know, met one set of grandparents has met the baby and the other set have never met their granddaughter. They find it very difficult to discover who this child is. In fact, they can't, and they have to have a court ruling over it. This is set in a time where there wasn't sort of DNA testing, at least at the beginning of the story, and so we follow the ruling of who they decide this baby belongs to, because, you know, within reason, a lot of babies just look the same. So it's who they decide the baby belongs to. The 2 sets of grandparents are from very different types of life. It's about flitting between past and present, finding out what's happened, and a sort of private investigator who's been trying to discover the actual identity of the child. And it's full of sort of intrigue and mystery, and there's quite a lot of violence in there and a little bit of insanity, but it was a really good, fun, fast-paced read. These books generally are a bit hit and miss for me. They're not really a genre that I tend to gravitate towards all the time. I do have moments where I want to read a lot of like crime fiction, but I haven't been on a crime fiction kick for a while. However, I did enjoy it, and if that's your sort of thing, I think you would like it, and I gave this one 3 stars. The next book I finished, and one of you very rightly commented on one of my videos that I haven't actually talked about the second book. I totally forgot in last week's wrap up to talk about the second book in the All Souls trilogy, which was Shadows of Night. I think because I read it on my Kindle, for some reason I forgot to talk about it. But the second book was good. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't my favourite. The first book in this series, A Discovery of Witches, is a really, really good book. I really enjoyed it. It's fast paced. It's got lots of paranormal aspects, and we're following sort of a vampire and a witch, and it's got vampires, witches and demons, and it's about a lost book and romance, and I really enjoyed it. The second book is set in the past, a long way in the past, and that sort of historical fiction setting really doesn't suit me, I don't think. In terms of, I really enjoy historical fiction. I like Philippa Gregory's books, and I really enjoy that. What I don't really get on well with is like a contemporary story set in a historical world. For some reason that just doesn't gel for me. So I was a little bit nervous going into the Book of Life because it is massive. However, I needn't have worried. This is set back in the contemporary world. The story really starts going from the offset, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked the ending of this book. I liked how it wrapped up, but everything wasn't exactly in a neat little bow. There was things left open slightly, but not to the point where you're like, oh, you know, she didn't finish the story. So I really enjoyed this. I whizzed through it, and I would give this one 4 stars. So I'd say if you like a really well thought out, well written witch, demon, vampire, paranormal story with some historical elements, namely book 2, which seems to be a struggle for a lot of people, then this is the book for you. This is the series for you. I think you'd really enjoy it. So I really enjoyed this, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was also a buddy read with the lovely Michael and James, and we read Peter V. Brett's The Daylight War, which is book 3 in the Demon Cycle series, and this one again did not disappoint. The first book in the series, The Painted Man, was my Booktuber recommends from Caitlin from the channel Kitty G last year, and I loved it and gave it 5 stars. Book 2 was just as good, and I also gave it 5 stars, and yeah, you guessed it, this one was a 5-star read too. This one, in fact, was a even bigger 5-star read, I suppose, than book 2, because I enjoyed the layout a bit more. In book 2, well, in book 1, we follow sort of 3 main protagonists in their sort of story to become who they're going to be. In book 2, we follow a different character, but the first third of the book is sort of his backstory, and then we come back into the story, which was good. But it's sort of, if you haven't read the first one for a while, I can see it would be a little bit like, oh, what's going on? Whereas this one, we're following another character, a female character in this one, but her backstory is intermingled with past and present. So we'll have like a few chapters of what's going on now, then we'll have some of her backstory, then we'll have a few more chapters of what's going on now, and then some more backstory, and that really lended itself much better, I think, to keep the momentum of the story and the interest going. I can't tell you too much more about this, but in book 1, as I've mentioned before, it's about a world where demons, in the evening when the sun sets, demons come from the ground and they attack and eat people. People have learnt to draw these wards as sort of protection around their homes and around where they are, and now they're sort of starting to fight back. It's a really brilliant series so far. I can't wait to read the 4th book, which is The Skull Throne, which isn't the last book but is the 4th book and the next one and the last one that's currently out, and I'm going to be trying to read that at the end of February with Michael and James, because we really enjoyed reading it together. So I loved this one, 5 stars, definitely recommend. So next I just want to talk about a couple of different books. This book I am currently reading, but I'm going to be reading it over quite a few years, and it's called Raising Girls by Steve Biddulphs, I believe. I bought this a while ago, and I've only just read the first section. It follows the 5 stages of girlhood, which is in different ages, and it looks at issues like tackling bullying, eating disorders, body image, alcohol, managing social media, and relating happily to boys. It's really just a book to give you a bit of an insight into girls at different ages, and to give you some tips and some ideas on how to treat certain situations. So I've read the first section, which is 0 to 5-year-olds, and it just gives you some ideas. Things, a lot of them are common sense to me anyway. Things like gender stereotyping, not necessarily giving your kid, your daughter Barbies and everything pink. If she wants to have, build a set or, something else, don't necessarily get her the pink Lego, get her the general Lego. All Lego is for all people, and they've kind of gender stereotyped certain sets of it, which is a shame. And it just gives you an idea on how to talk and relate to girls. And I've really enjoyed it. I'm finding it very interesting. The next section is for 5 to 10-year-olds, so I've got about a year or so until I need to start thinking about that and reading that one. So yeah, just wanted to mention this one. It's a really good book if you have girls. Then the books that I'm currently reading and that I want to get finished before the end of the month. The first is Sword Point, which is by Ellen Kushner. I haven't started this. I'm hopefully starting this one today. This was my Booktuber recommends from Victoria Harris, and I want to get this finished before the end of the month to fulfill my Booktuber recommends for the month. It's only a couple of 100 pages long. It's a fantasy, and I'm really hoping that it'll be one I enjoy, so I'll be picking this up this week. And then a library book that I want to get back to the library that I am currently halfway through. This is a side book from Fangirl. So if you've read Fangirl, you know that at the beginning of a lot of chapters, there is the sort of the fan fiction that is Kath is writing about Simon Snow, which is kind of a Harry Potter fan fiction, but with some gay elements to it. And this is the story of Simon Snow. So currently I'm halfway through. I am enjoying it. It does seem a little bit like a knockoff of Harry Potter. However, I think it's going to start coming into its own a little bit more in the second half, I hope. And it's really good. I mean, I loved Harry Potter, so what's not to love, even if it is similar in its sort of ideas. This book sort of starts as if Simon has already gone through all of these trials and it's like his final year at school. So it's almost like all the Harry Potter books have happened and you just get the one end one. But we're looking at a relationship between Simon and his nemesis, who he shares a room with. So I suppose the Draco Malfoy character. But I believe there is some gay elements in here and some LGBTQIA element. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I'm enjoying it, and it's good and easy reading and fun. And I like that it's each chapter's separated into different people's voices, so we're hearing from lots of different characters, which is really good. Anyway, that's all the books that I've read and the books that I'm currently reading. What are you reading? What are you enjoying? Make sure you check out Caitlin at Zombie Eats Books, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, Booktube.